Hi everybody, Dr. Bill Crawford here, psychologist, speaker, author of 7 books, host of 2 PBS specials. Here again to bring you another tip on how to help you create the life you want. How to bring more clarity, confidence, creativity into everything you do. Today I want to look at the issue of trust, and specifically the question, who do we trust and what do we trust? Now, in terms of relationships, there's a wonderful series. Oprah produced it, one of her Super Soul series with Brene Brown. I love Brene Brown, man. Everything she says is just super. So if you want to look at who to trust in terms of relationships, I would encourage you to Google the anatomy of trust, Brene Brown. You'll find it wonderful. It gives you an acronym, goes into depth about how to do that. When I'm talking about who to trust, I'm talking about, do we trust ourselves or others? And what do we trust? What's the energy we trust to drive our thoughts, decisions, behavior? What do we trust to create our life? Now, trust in and of itself is basically just an expectation, you know. We trust that when we flip on the light switch, it'll come on. If it doesn't, we're kind of surprised by that. We trust when we're driving down the road, someone's coming toward us, they're not just going to turn in and kill us, you know. And all of that trust has been developed by experience. So basically, that's how we learn to trust, through experience. But if many of us have grown up with the message that there's something wrong with us, or we're not enough, or we can't trust our own judgment, then we start wondering about that. We start looking to other people for approval, for validation. Am I okay? Because we've learned that we can't trust ourselves, we can't trust our own judgment. And some of us grew up in environments that were maybe dangerous or frightening in certain ways. And for those of you who follow my Life from the Top of the Mind philosophy, you know there's this middle part of the brain, the limbic system, that's kind of hypersensitive to fear because its mission on the planet is to keep us safe in a fight or flight situation. And so it's always looking out, okay, what's happening? What do we need to be afraid of? And if we grow up in an environment where that is frightening, that limbic system gets hyper alert and hyperactive, and we carry that into adulthood sometimes, and we learn to trust fear versus awareness, or versus love, or versus some sort of confidence in who we are. And I think that's what we've got to look at if we're looking to create the life we want. Number one, we can't create the life we want if we don't trust our own judgment. Now, that doesn't mean we won't make mistakes, right? We'll sometimes believe, hey, this is a really good idea. And we go do it, and turns out it wasn't such a good idea. Okay, well, good information, knowing what I know now, here's what I would do differently in the future. But notice we don't question ourselves and our own judgment. We say, okay, that particular decision based on that particular information didn't serve me. I want to do that differently next time, but I can trust my ability to make that decision. I can trust my own judgment. If you haven't grown up with the message that you can trust your own judgment, that's going to be something that's going to be really important for you to develop, because otherwise you're always going to be looking around for somebody else to validate your choices and your decisions. And what do we trust to keep us safe? What do we trust to create the life we want? Now, if we're driving down the freeway and somebody's coming at us the wrong way, we can trust we need to get out of the way. In situations where danger is really imminent, physical danger, then trusting fear is a great thing. But notice how many times that we encounter that, you know, hardly ever. Most of the decisions we find ourselves dealing with in life, most of the situations we find ourselves dealing with aren't physically dangerous situations, and yet we've learned to trust fear. This middle part of the brain, the limbic system, where the amygdala kind of hides in there, that part of us that is always scanning the environment, has gotten often very big, very powerful, and we find ourselves relying on the energy of fear to create the life we want. Unfortunately, that throws us into the fight or flight part of the brain, and all we can do is react. We can't think, we can't learn, except in a frightened way. So there are 4 questions I always love to encourage people to ask themselves when they're wanting to change the way they trust, whether they trust themselves, whether they trust love or fear, awareness. Number 1, am I doing this on purpose? Have I chosen to trust this fear? Have I chosen to doubt myself? Most people say no. Number 2, how's it working for me? You know? Is doubting myself really helping me create the life I want? Again, most people say no. Number 3, is this defining me the way I want to be defined? Do I want to define myself as someone who doesn't trust myself, who always trusts fear and worry as a way of making decisions? Most people say no, and I love the 4th one. Would I recommend this way of being to someone I love? That one's the most powerful. Would I recommend someone I love not trust themselves? Would I recommend someone I love always use fear as a guide, even in situations where there's nothing to be frightened about? So if we start choosing who we trust, ourselves and those who give us good information on purpose in a way that we would teach to someone we love, if we start choosing love over fear, awareness over worry as a guide in our life, we can begin to make decisions. If you'll notice, I'm on the campus of Texas State University here, attending my son Nick's graduation. He's graduating with a BFA in acting from Texas State. And a lot of people who are graduating are now asking the question, okay, going into the big world, what can I trust? Do I trust myself? Do I have to trust fear? And I think we're all faced with that decision on a daily basis, and I think we want to make that decision on purpose in a way we would recommend to those we love. I hope you're finding these videos valuable. I really enjoy bringing them to you. If you do, please hit the like button, share them with your friends. This is something that I think a lot of people need to hear, and yet often it's not really presented in a way that looks at how the brain works and how we can make changes in that way. If this is something you want me to come and talk to your organization about, all you got to do, go to my website, BillCrawford.Ph.D.com, hit the contact button, let me know what you're interested in. Love to talk with you about that. In the meantime, here's to you bringing more clarity about who you trust and what you trust. More confidence in your ability to go into life, trusting yourself, trusting awareness and love versus fear. More creativity in how you take those decisions and create the life you want. More clarity, confidence, creativity to everything you do. Now I look forward to seeing you in the next video.